Hello and thank you for joining us on the last edition of Journalist Hangout this week. I'm Benga Orashegun. Today on the program, Federal High Court nullifies PDP National Convention held in Ibadan, Oyo State on the 15th of November 2025. Senators Oshomole Tambuwal make high-stakes Electoral Act review panel as Senate takes steps to fast-track amendment, gives ad hoc committee 48 hours to conclude work. And later on the show, group tackles Showore over leaked court footage. Well, I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, who's going to be joining us via Zoom, by the way, and Charles Idel, who's right here with me. Now, Journalist Hangout starts right now. Let's begin the conversation. In politics or governance, legitimacy springs from adherence to rules, not merely popular appeal. Now, this principle underpinned the decision of the Federal High Court sitting in Ibadan to nullify the November 15, 2025 National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Now, the court ruled that the convention was conducted in defiance of existing legal orders and party guidelines, rendering the process and its outcome null and void. As a result, Kabiru Taminu Turaki and others elected at the gathering were barred from acting as national officers. In the ruling, the court reaffirmed that the only recognized leadership of the PDP remains the caretaker committee led by Muhammad Abdurrahman and Senator Samalayan, pending the holding of a proper and lawful national convention in line with the party's constitution. All right, Charles Idel, while we wait for BKO to join us, via Zoom, talk to me. This nullification by the court. Did you see this coming?
Yes, I did.
And also,
I did.
What was the reason behind the nullification?
I did know. I think incidentally, I was here the other time we discussed about it. I said the haste with which they conducted that election too, because there were subsisting court elections. I mean, court judgment or even cases against it. Of particular interest is that of Justice Peter Lifu of the Abuja High Court, that said that they must suspend the holding of that Ibadan Convention. I mean, he relied on the fact that there was a case brought before it by the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, that he had been prevented, like, or is it short? I think there's a word they use to go with that he has been, okay, I think I'm looking for that word now. Disenfranchised. I'm looking for that word. He had been disenfranchised because he wanted to, participate in election and for him to take the nomination from the chairmanship. But they told him forms were no longer available. Print more forms. Let me have forms. He said no, and they were dealing that. And after they shut the door against him, and then he went to court to seek his fundamental human rights and all that. To say I had to be part of this process. They said no. So, and he went to court, and then court gave a ruling that the convention should be suspended because somebody has come to say his fundamental human right will be to trouble upon.
Exactly.
And that, of course, is also against the constitution of the PDP, that you should allow level playing ground for everybody. So if you have your constitution, you are disobeying the provisions of your constitution. That's number one. Number two, there's also this case that he took to court. So the court said you couldn't hold these elections. So they violated the provision of their constitution, violated the court process and the court proceedings and the ruling. So it was like building something or nothing.
But they will say that, they also got their own court judgment. You remember they got a court judgment, Ibadan, where they got the court and
but there are three cases. The court judgment they got in Ibadan was not linked to that of Sule Lamido. No,
that's the convention should go ahead.
It could go, but again, how about the subsisting?
Exactly, they did not set that aside.
That had not been set aside, and the thing was hanging. Unless that subsisting court judgment had been set aside, then you can also say, okay, let's act on the current. We discussed it here.
Yes.
Which one supersede? When you have the other one, but if you have particularly the court of coordinate jurisdiction, so but they said no. The cases, there were actually three cases. So one of them was this one that is now haunting them. So I said it was not going to stand.
And if you also remember, the former Kwara State governor and also former Senate President Bukola Saraki also advised that shift this convention. But now the question is, with the Ibadan Convention nullified, who now has the legitimate authority to speak and act on behalf of the PDP now?
Is the Abrahman and Anyang.
So that means all the decisions of the
no, it's null and void. That's what that's what the court is saying. Is that everything,
where they expelled
all the actions you have taken, even the expulsion of Wiki and rest of them.
Yes,
all of them are null and void because, as I said, you can't build something on nothing. As long as there was a subsisting court judgment asking them to suspend that convention of the November 15, 16, but they went ahead in contravention of that court ruling, and again in contravention of their own constitution. Then there is no way that can stand the test of time because it's a nullity as far as the law is concerned.
Okay, now the Turaki-led faction, they've said that they will appeal. Okay.
No, of course, there's a window for appeal.
How likely is it that an appellate court will overturn this ruling, you know, considering the existing precedents?
Well, the court will always rely on evidence. The court cannot manufacture evidence. So the court will definitely look at the evidence, look at the merit of the evidence, look at the value of the evidence. So it's okay, as at the time this ruling subsisted, why did you have to, in contravention of that, without setting aside? You didn't vacate that. Yes, you need to vacate. I think that's the word. You need to vacate that first.
You need to set it
if you
aside
have vacated that,
court.
You have cleared all grounds for you to have legitimacy to go ahead with whatever actions. But as long as that aspect has not been vacated, as long as you have decided to say, okay, it's a flagrant flouting of that court order, which you have been saying, a politician should take, should be very careful the way we treat court orders and the rest of them. Because if we must allow democracy to thrive and also to sustain it in this country, courts are very important. The legal aspect is very important. Courts are very, very important to the sustenance of democracy in this country. But when one court has done it, because look at, you now run to even court of coordinate jurisdiction, so coordinate jurisdiction, that's okay, take the, but I also blame the court. You have to look at the case, is this case subsisting in another court? Then before you can also entertain it. But as I said, the one in Ibadan is different from the one in Abuja.
Yes.
They are different entirely, because the other one in Ibadan is for them to say, okay, can we go ahead with it? The one that is now haunting them has to do with the contravention of the existing ruling by Justice Peter Lifu that said you may not. You don't even may not, you shall not go ahead. Because they disenfranchise a party to the whole issue.
But one might want to ask, what was so difficult in allowing the former Jigawa State governor to also compete favorably?
Well, it's
level playing field.
I think it's a game that politicians play, particularly when they know that there's a candidate that is very powerful, has the prospect to challenge the status quo. Status quo meaning those who want to actually ride roughshod over everybody. They will do in fact, they will do everything possible to ensure they bring all manner of frivolities and all that in, just to ensure they shortchange the person. But Lamido himself said, well, I have no problem, but give me a form. Go and print more forms so I will pay. They said, no, forms are no longer existing. And if it's finished, how can you say it's finished? What? Okay, is there no batch B, as if I have in the NYC? Give me batch B form. They said, no. Then the man said, okay, I'm going to have to go to court, which of course he did what was right. He didn't resort to self-help. He didn't resort to, okay, let me go bring talks to disturb anything. He went to court, which of course, that is how gentlemen should behave.
And I hear some people who say that, oh, did the former Jigawa State governor, did he exhaust all the internal mechanism before approaching the court?
He did, actually by report. Going to report, he did. He asked for them, he was doing that. I mean, we're reading the report where I was following it because I was really interested in that. He did all the things, asking them, let's do this, but all to no avail. And at the end of the day, what happens? They went ahead and did, and today now he's haunting them.
He's haunting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have a caretaker committee.
Okay, yes, we do.
Okay.
Abdulrahman and Senator Anyanwu.
All right about now we have BKO. You know, BKO has now joined us. BKO, is so good to have you join us on the show.
Thank you, Benga.
Yes, BKO, talking about the PDP. just the same question I asked Charles. Did you see this nullification coming? Although I can guess your answer, but what's the reason behind this judgment?
It is very clear, and we had talked about it repeatedly. If there was a subsisting order of the court,
yes,
barring you from conducting the convention, it makes sense to set that order aside before proceeding with it. But what Makinde and Co did was to approach an Ibadan court. They approached a back street court in Ibadan, which in any case does not even have jurisdiction over INEC, because they approached a high court instead of approaching a federal high court. And the order was clear: don't proceed. The Ibadan High Court gave them leave to hold the convention. But before then, Justice Lifu had ordered them not to proceed with it because Sule Lamido approached Justice Lifu's court, accusing the leadership of that faction of the PDP of abridging his rights by not allowing him to procure a nomination form for the purpose of contesting for the chairmanship of the party. And as far as he was concerned, that amounts to a breach of the constitution of the PDP and their rules. So that order was there. There was also Justice Omotoso's court order, which they also neglected. In fact, they boasted. They boasted that they were not going to obey those court orders. When politicians foolishly boast that they will not obey a court order, they are showing people the extent of their foolishness. You must obey the courts. Whatever you people do, you can call yourself names, you can bite one another, you will still end up before a court of law. This is what I always say. Because no politician, no matter the level of exaggerated impression that he has of himself, is bigger than the laws of the land. So you must obey the law. No matter how bad a court order is, you must first obey it. Then make moves to set it aside. And we saw it happen in Rivers State when a court, for the first time in Nigeria, ordered a chief judge not to accept any kind of correspondence from the House of Assembly. I mean, that is taking away the duties of the chief judge. It's unheard of. But they had to obey it. Most likely, in the fullness of time, they will get an order that sets that one aside. But to proceed with your convention when two courts had said don't proceed was reckless, and whatever happens to them after that, they have to take it on the chin. Because I will have expected that they will obey the court before anything. They could have set that order aside. They could have set it aside, but they chose not to set it aside. They chose to proceed with it. So what have they gained? Even the Ibadan court ultimately told them, when the case continued, that it does not have jurisdiction over INEC. It is the Federal High Court that has jurisdiction over federal agencies. So it's a waste of time to refuse to obey a court order and proceeding to do what you like. It's a waste of time, and politicians who do this show clearly that they do not learn from history. I do not know at any time when people refuse to obey the law courts and expected to be vindicated and expected to get their version of justice. It doesn't happen. So this is, I knew this would happen. I had talked about it repeatedly. So
Exactly.
I'm not surprised at all. Yes, they will appeal. They have said they will appeal.
They will appeal. Let's see how it
Yes,
goes.
I expect them to appeal. But it is what it is.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
All right, let's move straight to our next conversation.